From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios. Listen, watch, chat. This is Webcast 1 Live. Programs on webcast1live.com are brought to you in part by KDC Builders, building custom homes for how you live. KDC will take your dreams and turn them into reality. Go to our website, kdcbuilt.com, or call Hannah Inman at 515-975-9990. And Tom Coates and ConsumerCreditOfAmerica.com. Are you overwhelmed with mounted credit card debt and feel there's no way out? Well, there is. Call 1-800-955-5765 for Consumer Credit of America. That's ccofamerica.com.
Happy Tuesday. Welcome to Licensed to Parent the Early Years, where we talk about children ages 0 to 6 and how to parent them without losing your mind. Tonight we are going to talk about food. We're going to talk about when to feed, what to feed, how much to feed, when not to feed. We're just going to talk about everything about food. Children have a lot of different issues around food. Some of them are genetic, some of them are emotional, some of them are peer pressure, and we're going to talk about ways to get around them. We're going to talk about the different kinds of eaters, children who are carb cravers, who love cereals and snacks, children who are fruit and yogurt grazers, who just like the cool, sweet taste of strawberries with a little yogurt on the side, children who want to drink every meal, who are not interested in chewing anything. They just want to have milk or formula all the time, and that's all you can get them to take. And then there are the children who have a textural issue, who can't stand the fact that oatmeal is gritty, or that meatloaf is crumbly, or that mashed potatoes have gravy on top. So we're going to talk about all of those. We're going to talk about the USDA food program and how child cares do food so that you can understand what your child care provider does when you're away. And we're going to talk a little bit about the questions that parents frequently have that nobody ever answers for you. So we'll be back in just a few minutes, and we're going to talk about food.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1 Live.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit! You're our hero!
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios. Listen, watch, chat. This is Webcast 1 Live. Programs on webcast1live.com are brought to you in part by KDC Builders, building custom homes for how you live. KDC will take your dreams and turn them into reality. Go to our website, kdcbuilt.com, or call Hannah Inman at 515-975-9990. And Tom Coates and ConsumerCreditOfAmerica.com. Are you overwhelmed with mounted credit card debt and feel there's no way out? Well, there is. Call 1-800-955-5765 for Consumer Credit of America. That's ccofamerica.com.
Welcome back. Tonight on the early years, we're talking about food. Food is one of the biggest power trips children and parents have with each other. You set your child at the table, you tell them you have to finish your plate. They say, I'm full. You say, no, you have to finish your plate. They say, my tummy hurts. You say, nonsense, your tummy hurts. You have to finish your plate. It becomes a struggle to see who has the will to sit around longer and wait. Oftentimes, children sit there until they are exhausted, in which case they're not hungry anymore. And so they end up going to bed without ever eating. And it becomes something that is unhappiness for both people involved. What we want to talk about tonight is, first of all, when to start food and how much to serve. But we also want to talk about what kinds of foods to feed your child and what kind of attitude to give your child about food. Those of us who are older and metabolisms have slowed and the years are catching up to us are paying for all the plates we cleaned up as a child. And so we tend to take a different look at food when it comes to our children and say, when you're hungry, you'll eat. And for the most part, I agree with that philosophy. I, as a general rule, do not force my children to clean up their plate. My parents used to give me there are starving children in China who'd give anything for that bowl of rice speech. And I didn't believe it then, and I don't believe it now. I think that teaching your children moderation, teaching them to eat things that are good for them is important. I think that leading by example is crucial. And I think that by planning your meals and planning the way you're going to do meal time with your family goes a long way towards determining whether or not your child will someday be an obese adult. So we're going to start from the very beginning, from birth, and move our way up. And we're going to talk about all the different things that come along with feeding a child. We are going to have a guest tonight. Her name is Cheryl Hill. She is a child care provider in Des Moines. And we're going to talk with her about the food program and how it works for child care providers, because a lot of parents have misconceptions about the food program, what it does, what it pays for, how providers use it. So we're going to talk about the rules and regulations and the requirements so that you understand what your child will be eating at daycare. And you'll also understand what to look for to make sure that they're getting what they're supposed to be getting. All right. So first thing we're going to talk about tonight is the Child and Adult Food Program and the USDA recommended portions. One of the biggest arguments that I have with parents as a child care provider is about the portion sizes for their children. I am adamant at serving appropriate portions to children, and so I tend to get into disagreements with parents about the amount of food that gets served, because a lot of adults feel that their children should eat far more than they actually are eating. I see parents loading up plates for their children that are enormous, way more food than the stomach can possibly hold. The problem is that a child doesn't understand that that plate is far too big, and so they attempt to eat it all. And as a result, they eat more than they should, which leads to stomach upset. In infants, it can lead to vomiting. It leads to children feeling that they have to have food. It leads to craving food when you're bored. There's just a lot of things that go along with overeating. So we're going to talk about what the actual appropriate portions are for children so that you can understand. So one of the things that would be very beneficial to do while you're watching this show is to go to your kitchen cabinet and get measuring cups and measuring spoons. Go get your measuring cups and your measuring spoons and bring them back in front of the TV, because I'm going to tell you how much of each food should be on your child's plate so that you can actually see what the serving size looks like and understand how much your child should be having. First thing that I tell parents when it comes to food, I am a very big advocate that you wait until your child is at least 6 months old to start solid foods. Before 6 months old, I really, truly believe that breast milk and formula are the best two options for your child. I have a lot of parents who come through my door at 2 and 3 months, with children 2 and 3 months of age, wanting me to start cereal, wanting me to start regular food. I, as a general rule, tell them no. They're not very happy about it, but I tell them no. If you would like to give your child solid food earlier than 6 months of age, you absolutely need to talk to the pediatrician, and you also need to talk to a nutritionist, because pediatricians take a very small rotation through nutrition, But the best person to ask is a nutritionist who specializes in children, because they will be able to give you solid advice about whether or not your child is ready for food. And one of the things that you do need to understand is that the earlier that you start feeding your child solid food, the more they have a risk of allergies and allergic reactions to food later on. So if you want to make sure that they have the least amount of allergies, then one of the ways to do that is by waiting to feed solid food later. Okay, so when you have an infant, here is the recommended portions for infants for meal times. Infants birth to 3 months have 4 to 6 ounces of formula or breast milk for breakfast, 4 to 6 ounces for lunch, 4 to 6 ounces for supper, and then 4 to 6 ounces 2 more times throughout the evening and night. Okay, so all you're getting per serving, 4 to 6 ounces. Now, I see parents of 2 and 3 month olds feeding 8, 10 ounces at a time. An 8 or 10 ounce glass of liquid is an adult size portion. It will lead to spitting up. It will lead to acid reflux. It will lead to colic. It will lead to things that you don't want to happen. And the problem is that children often will suck so hard on the bottle, and they'll suck the formula down so fast that they don't understand that they're full. It takes a little while for the brain to hear from the stomach. So if your child is eating and you're shoveling it in as fast as you can, oftentimes by the time their stomach tells their brain that they're full, you've already overfed them. So when you are feeding a child a bottle, make sure that you're holding your child. Make sure that the nipple is not cut to an extra fast cut, because you don't want your child sucking a lot of air, and you don't want them to suck down their bottle in 10 seconds flat, because then they won't have a chance to know that they're full. I'm going to pull somebody in here real quick. Hey, Cheryl, can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right, so we're on the air with Cheryl Hill, and we were just talking about babies and feeding babies. And my 6-month rule about no solid food before 6 months of age. Now we're talking about appropriate portion sizes, and we are in the 4 to 7 month category. And just so you know, Cheryl, I'm using our handy dandy little Caring for Our Children manual. Did you get the new one yet?
No, I have not.
They have the new one out, and it is online. So like you can surf through the whole thing in HTML online.
Okay.
And you can actually PDF it and print it right at home.
Really?
You don't even have to buy it. You can just PDF it and print it right from your computer.
Cool.
Excellent. Anyway, so we're looking at appropriate portion sizes, because one of the things that I always find in daycare is that parents want to overfeed their children. You would agree?
I would totally agree.
Yes. So, and do you struggle explaining to kids what the appropriate portion sizes are and explaining to parents what the appropriate portion sizes are?
Well, not only that, absolutely. But not only that, what I'm concerned about is because I find that, when these kids are spitting up, okay, they go to the doctor and the doctor says, you need to put cereal in their bottle. You need to put cereal in the bottle because they're getting a little acid reflux, so we need some solids in there to basically stop this. And I'm like, no, people, just think back here. You're overfeeding them. Hello? And that frustrates me, because then the parents take the gospel word of their doctor thinking that they need cereal, when in all retrospect, all it's doing is causing a whole different sort of gambit going on there.
Yes.
And I totally agree that we don't need to feed our kids anything but formula or breast milk for the first 6 months. Absolutely. Because their little digestive tract can't handle it.
Exactly. Okay, so now 4 to 7 months. When your baby is 4 to 7 months old, and in my book, we're talking 6 to 7 months old, because I'm not starting food at 4 months. So when your child is 4 to 7 months old, they can have 4 to 8 ounces of formula or breast milk for each feeding. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. When you start at 6 months with food, then your child can have 0 to 3 tablespoons of infant cereal. So if you take that measuring tablespoon that's in your hand, level measuring tablespoons. If you take 3 flat tablespoons, just like you were measuring flour to bake a cake, and put them in a bowl and put liquid in them and stir it up, that's the appropriate portion. And I know that 99 out of the 100 of you that are doing this in front of yourself right now are going, oh, my child could never live on that. They'll starve to death. Literally, that's the appropriate portion for the size of their stomach.
Exactly.
You have to start thinking in terms of how big is your baby's stomach. Not how big is your whole baby, because their entire abdominal cavity is not stomach. You have to look at, in proportion to their body, how big is their actual stomach. And you have to think in terms of that size. And when you're talking about drinking 6 ounces of fluid and 3 ounces of cereal on top of it, that's a total of 9 ounces. That's 2/3 of a Coke can. That's a considerable amount of space. So there you go. Stomach is full. Does not need more. Don't need to keep shoving. Okay? Feed slowly. Take slow, careful spoonfuls and talk to your child. It's very easy to get in a hurry. I know you want to get to bed, or you want to get the dishes done, or you just want your me time. And the faster you get that child fed and in bed, the faster you can have peace and quiet. Think about the long-term health of your child. Think about their weight. Think about their illnesses. Think about all the things that you are trying to prevent, keeping their immune system strong, keeping them healthy, keeping them energetic, keeping them growing and meeting their developmental milestones. And take the time to do slow bites, to talk to your child while they eat, to make sure that their stomach has time to tell their head they're full, so that you're not overfeeding them by accident. All right, Cheryl. So next, 8 to 11 months of age. And before we talk about these portion sizes, okay? No, let's do the portion sizes first. All right, Cheryl. 2 to 4 tablespoons of infant cereal and 1 to 4 tablespoons of fruit or vegetable for breakfast. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And 4 tablespoons is 1/4 of a cup.
Yep.
Okay. So if you take your 1/4 of a cup measuring cup and you look at that and you level it off like you're using flour to bake a cake, so scrape the excess off, that is the appropriate portion size. Not heaping as high as you can get it, flat. That's the appropriate portion size for the fruit or vegetable. Not 4 ounces of fruit and 4 ounces of vegetable, but 4 ounces of either fruit, vegetable, or the two combined. Total 4 ounces. And then the total of 6 to 8 ounces of formula or breast milk. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now, when you get to lunchtime, you have 6 to 8 ounces of formula or breast milk. Then you have 2 to 4 tablespoons, not 2 to 4 ounces, 2 to 4 tablespoons flat of cereal. Then you have 1 to 4 tablespoons of a protein, so a meat, a bean, a cheese. You have 1 to 4 tablespoons of cottage cheese as an alternative if you want, or 1 to 4 tablespoons of fruit or vegetable. Now, that's not 1 to 4 tablespoons of each one of those foods. It is 6 to 8 ounces of breast milk or formula, and then you choose one. Either you do a protein, or you do a cheese, or you do a fruit or vegetable. Okay? Mm-hmm. And I don't advocate starting proteins until at least 10 months of age. Meat is very hard to digest. So I wait until about 10 months old before I start introducing meat into a child's diet. Before that, I'm pretty much strictly fruit, vegetable, and soy protein. So maybe some soy yogurt. I don't go to cheese or straight yogurt or even cow's milk until a year of age. Okay. And then for dinner, you have 2 to 4 ounces of formula. Then you have, this is a snack. 2 to 4 ounces of formula, half a slice of bread, or 2 crackers. That's a snack. Okay. 2 crackers. Now think about all of your friends with infants who set them in the high chair for a snack. How many crackers do they give their children?
Right.
How many times have you ever seen a person give their child only 2 crackers?
Never.
Yeah, me neither. I don't think so. All right. So, Cheryl, I'm going to put you on hold for a minute, but don't hang up.
Okay.
We're going to do a quick commercial break, and then we'll be right back and talk about this some more, okay? Hold on. All right. We'll be back in a sec.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, Or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures, we have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios. Listen, watch, chat. This is Webcast 1 Live. Programs on webcast1live.com are brought to you in part by KDC Builders. Building custom homes for how you live. KDC will take your dreams and turn them into reality. Go to our website, kdcbuilt.com, or call Hannah Inman at 515-975-9990. And Tom Coates and ConsumerCreditOfAmerica.com. Are you overwhelmed with mounted credit card debt and feel there's no way out? Well, there is. Call 1-800-955-5765 for Consumer Credit of America. That's ccofamerica.com.
Welcome back. So we're talking about food. When to feed, what to feed, how to feed, the whole shebang. Cheryl, can you hear me?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay, once again, we're being joined by Cheryl Hill. She does childcare in Des Moines, has an in-home childcare. And Cheryl and I both have sat around shaking our head at the food program for quite a while now. So we're going to talk about the rest of these portions. And then we're going to talk about the way the food program is handled by childcare providers and what the rules and regs are and what the servings are. So anyway, back to this 8 to 11-month-old. There's a story that I tell quite frequently about a daycare parent in one of my centers who wanted me to overfeed her child. And she came in and was very upset that I was not feeding her child enough food. And I think in her mind, I had drastically reduced the amount of food being fed to her child, and that wasn't the case. But our centers went to doing fresh organic baby food. And when we did, when we started making our baby food fresh, we portioned it into appropriate portion size cups. And so in her mind, when she saw the little 2-ounce cups and the little 4-ounce cups, she freaked out and thought that we were immediately putting her child on a restricted diet. Now, her child was not underweight, 70th percentile for height, 70th percentile for weight, meeting all the developmental milestones, no medical need for any intervention as far as eating was concerned. Happy child, ate everything you put in front of him, no problem whatsoever. He would eat, of course, as much as you would give him, so in her mind, that's how much he should have. Anyway, she came in and wanted me to give her child 4 ounces of fruit, 4 ounces of vegetable, 4 ounces of cereal, and a 6 or 8 ounce bottle. That's a whopping total of 20 ounces. And to give you some perspective about how much food that is this much food. Now, if you look at these 2 cups together, that's only 18 ounces. Okay? Think about a baby. And think about me holding a baby. Do you even think in your mind's eye that you can see a baby with a stomach that large? There are no babies with stomachs that large. Okay? So here's this child who, after eating this much food, has a stomach ache, is irritable, is spitting up, is not wanting to lay down and sleep because, of course, it's very uncomfortable. And it's no wonder. This is a predictable problem. If you're looking at this much food and you're planning on sticking it in your baby's stomach, you're in the wrong. There's just no other way to put it. You are in the wrong. Okay? So anyway, we argued about it, and she used the excuse of, well, my mother fed me as much as I wanted. I turned out fine. This is how much I've been feeding him, and he's been fine. We don't have any problems with him at home. He doesn't spit up. Everything's great. I still said no. I explained to her that she could feed him as much as she wanted for breakfast. She could feed him as much as she wanted for dinner. But during the daycare day, I would feed him the recommended USDA portions. Now, I would give him the maximum portion, the top end of the scale. So if it said 2 to 4 tablespoons, I would give him 4. But that I was not willing to triple the amount of food that he was supposed to have. And so after arguing with me for a couple of days, she did what most daycare parents do when I tell them no and they just can't accept no for an answer. Guess what she did?
She pulled her child.
Nope. No. Bigger than that. Who do parents use when they want to make you say yes?
DHS.
Yeah, she tried that. That didn't work either. She pulled the doctor's note.
Oh, awesome.
Now, how crazy do those make you?
Really stinking crazy.
So,
I don't have many of those parents. I really don't.
Oh, well, listen to this doctor's note. You will laugh hysterically. So she brings me in this doctor's note. She drops it on my desk, and she says, there. This is a note from my doctor. This is a doctor's order to give my son the amount of food that I want him to have. And I will let the staff know that they need to adjust his portions. And I said, hold on a minute. I said, I don't work for your doctor. So there is no such thing as a doctor's orders. I will take a look at it. I will get back to you. I will let you know, but we're not adjusting anything until I have a chance to sit down and look at the note. So she slams the door. She storms out. I can hear her saying things like ridiculous, call the attorney. And I'm surprised by then she hadn't pulled her child. But she just kept trying to get her way. And I think other than the argument over food, she was very happy with the care. She just couldn't let this one thing go. So I read the doctor's note, and here's what it said. Okay. It came from a family doctor, not a pediatrician. And not to say that there's anything wrong with family doctors, but the doctor said 5 things in the note. Number 1, the note said, it is impossible to overfeed a child under the age of 1. Exactly. I started laughing too. Number 2, because both parents are thin, I have no concerns that this child will be obese. Number 3, because this baby was over 8 pounds at birth, he requires more nutrition than other children. By the time I got to number 3, I was hot. Because how dare this doctor write a note, first of all, for something that is not medical? It's not medical. This child is not underweight. He's not failing to thrive. He's not lacking any kind of nutrients in his system. He's a chubby, happy, crawling fool. And so there was no medical need for this note. Not to mention the fact that it contradicted everything that the CDC and the American Academy of Pediatrics says about the risk of childhood obesity. So it was completely ridiculous. So, of course, you know me, I decided that maybe the first person I needed to respond to was the doctor. So I pull out my keyboard and I type this little doctor a note. And I told her, this is ridiculous. First of all, if you're telling me that it's impossible to overfeed a child under the age of 1, then you need to go and look up the American Academy of Pediatrics and see what they say about childhood obesity. Because you're completely contraindicating what the leading body of pediatricians says. Secondly, the USDA recommendations were not written by potheads in the basement. They were written by actual experts in nutrition. Somebody you probably should have consulted or sent mom to. And I had offered mom in this 2 days of arguing, I offered her an appointment with a dietitian. She refused. I even offered to pay for it. I offered her an appointment with our nurse, who we had paid for recently, a continuing education class in childhood obesity. She refused. So she didn't want to talk to any of the experts. She just wanted me to tell her yes. So when I'm done writing this doctor this note and telling her step off because this totally isn't a medical issue and it also isn't anything you need to be involved in, I printed out the letter, I faxed it to the doctor, and I gave a copy to mom. And I told mom, I can appreciate that you want this very badly. And it seems to be now that you're just trying to find a way to force me to say yes, that you're just not going to take no for an answer about this. So here's the deal. I am not going to stuff your child like a sausage. I'm not going to do it. You can yell. You can bring me all the doctor's orders you want. You can bring me an order from the Surgeon General of America, and I'm still going to tell you no. So at that point, then, we agreed that they would go and find new childcare. And it's my understanding that they found a childcare that would be happy to comply with their request, and great for them. It's not so great for their child, and unfortunately, it's one of those instances where I have to look out for the child's
Here in our lab, we're bringing couples closer than ever before. Trojan bearskin condoms are an amazing...
But it was the first time ever that I had seen a doctor that blatantly wrote a note that the only purpose that could possibly be for was to make a whining parent go away. There's no other explanation for why a doctor would write that note other than just to get her to go away. Because there was no medical need for it. It didn't have any foundation, in fact. It had absolutely nothing that could be backed up with medical documentation or studies. It was just crap written down to make this parent go away.
Clearly.
Yeah.
It was.
And that, to me, was offensive.
Mm-hmm.
It was. And it was insulting to me that she would come and tell me that, you know, she loved my child care, that she had come to me because I was an expert, that I had so much experience and so much knowledge, and then to completely discount my knowledge. It was insulting. Because why do you come to me as an expert and say, I want to hire you because you know what you're doing, and then tell me, but you have to do it my way? It'd be like going to a doctor and saying, no, I don't have a bladder infection. I have a sinus infection. You're a fool. Give me this antibiotic. You're not going to do that. You're going to go in to see the doctor. They're going to tell you you have a bladder infection, and you're going to say, oh, what do you recommend? But with child care providers, parents will come in. Literally, they will hire you telling you that you're the expert I want because you have the knowledge. And then they'll turn around and tell you, but anytime I disagree, your opinion doesn't count.
Right.
And it's sad. All right.
It's very sad.
So let's talk about some things that parents don't know about the food program.
Okay.
So breakfast. And I'm kind of out of practice with the food program, as we both know. I just made the phone call yesterday to go back on the food program now that I'm back to doing what I used to do. And so I'm going to let you do these. So hopefully you're versed.
I'm up on it. Okay.
Breakfast. Okay. What do we serve for breakfast?
We serve a bread, a fruit, and a milk.
Okay. And so for breakfast, for 1 to 2-year-olds, it's a half a cup of milk. For 3 to 5-year-olds, it's 3/4 of a cup of milk. So 4 ounces if the child is 1 to 2 years of age, and 6 ounces if they're 3 to 4 years of age, or 3 to 5. Yes?
Yes. And now this is something that just started October 1, was any child that's from the age of 1 to 2, they have to have whole milk. And then if they're over the age of 2 on up, they can have 1% milk.
And if you want your child to have whole milk and they're over the age of 2, it's my understanding that you have to have a doctor's note for that. Is that right?
Yes.
And I am in disagreement with that. I feel that if a parent wants their child to have whole milk or 2%, that they should be able to make that choice. Especially since I have children who run in the 5th to 10th percentile weight-wise. I always give them whole milk. And so when I did open the centers and had to go to 2% and then 1%, I was not very happy. I mean, I'm sure that it would have been simple to go and get a doctor's note, to write a doctor's note, but I felt like that was one of the times when the food program maybe could have had a little more flexibility for families.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so then breads. If your child is 1 to 2, a half a slice. If they are 3 to 5, a half a slice. If they are 6 to 12 years old, 1 slice.
Uh-huh.
So think about all the times you've seen parents give their children bread. Have you ever seen a parent give their child just a half a slice of bread?
No.
Exactly. Okay. Cold cereal. Here's a big one. And here's another one where your measuring cup comes in. Grab your measuring cups, parents. If your child is 1 to 2 years of age, it is 1/4 of a cup. Take your 1/4 of a cup, not heaping, just flat. 1/4 of a cup of cereal. That's the appropriate portion. If your child is 3 to 5, it's 1/3 of a cup. And if they are 6 and up, it's 3/4 of a cup. If it's cooked cereal, it's 1/4 of a cup for a 1 to 2-year-old, 1/4 of a cup for a 3 to 5-year-old, and 1/2 a cup for a 6-year-old. If you are serving fruit or vegetable juice with breakfast, it is 1/4 of a cup for a 1 to 2-year-old, 1/2 a cup for a 3 to 5-year-old, and 1/2 of a cup for a 6-year-old. Now, that means if you're making cinnamon toast for your 1-year-old, you give them 1/2 a piece. If you're making cinnamon toast for your 3-year-old, you give them 1/2 a piece. I watch parents frequently who serve their children 2 full pieces of toast, plus a fruit on the side, plus a full cup of milk, and they don't realize the amount of food and liquid that they are putting in their child's stomach all at once.
Right.
Yeah.
Have you found this, though? I personally know this, okay? I give the recommended amount for cold cereal. And I have found, and I look at the child, okay? But if I give this one particular child who's 4 years of age, I give him a 1/3 of a cup of cold cereal, okay? Every time. Can I have more? And it comes into the play of, I say, in my mind, I say, you have what's recommended for you for your age.
Well, and I think that there's always going to be certain children who might want a little more. The key is how much more. And my rule of thumb is 1/2 of the regular portion. So I might give a child 1/3 of a cup as a regular portion, and then I might give them an additional 1/2 of that 1/3 of a cup. But then that's it. So an extra 1/2 a serving is my maximum before I say, now you need to drink your drink, eat your fruit, eat your vegetable. And a lot of times children will pick out one food and then not eat anything else.
Right.
And so if you give them more of that one food, more, then they don't end up eating anything else. All right, Cheryl, I'm going to put you on hold for a couple more minutes. We got to do one more commercial break. Don't go away, okay?
Okay.
We'll be right back.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast One Live.
Well, hi, I'm Rob Spearman. I'm a broker-owner of RE/MAX Real Estate Concepts in Des Moines, Iowa. Give us a call if you're looking at buying or selling a home, or if you're having trouble on your mortgage payments or looking to purchase foreclosures. We have the agents to help you, experienced, outstanding agents. Our office number is 515-276-2872. Or if you'd like to look at homes, go to our website, homeconnectusa.com.
Get away from us, you mean old credit card. We don't have any more money. We're in trouble now. Save us! Help! Somebody save us! Somebody help! Help! Save us!
Hi, I'm Tom Coates from Consumer Credit of Des Moines. If your credit card's a little too animated, give us a call.
Hooray! We're saved! Consumer Credit, you're our hero!
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, listen, watch, chat. This is Webcast One Live. Programs on webcast1live.com are brought to you in part by KDC Builders. Building custom homes for how you live. KDC will take your dreams and turn them into reality. Go to our website, kdcbuilt.com, or call Hannah Inman at 515-975-9990. And Tom Coates and ConsumerCreditOfAmerica.com. Are you overwhelmed with mounted credit card debt and feel there's no way out? Well, there is. Call 1-800-955-5765 for Consumer Credit of America. That's ccofamerica.com.
Welcome back. Cheryl, can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. So Now we're talking about meals for toddlers and preschoolers. We've gone past the infant section now. We're into the older kids. And we are talking about breakfast. Now, tell me foods that parents would never know are not credible on the breakfast menu.
Okay.
What does the food program not consider a food that people eat for breakfast?
Well, this is very much a norm. Two of my kids are from the same family. When they're running late and they don't get breakfast here because they're past my breakfast serving time,
Yep.
we always walk in with these, they're oatmeal kind of cookies with cream stuff in the middle. Yeah. So they're walking.
Like the moon pie, but with oatmeal?
Yeah. Yeah. Those. Yeah. But they don't have the chocolate on them because the moon pies, I think, are chocolate, aren't they? Yeah.
I don't know. I don't bring any of that stuff into my house.
No.
So
That's what they come
Yeah.
eating. And, of course, before morning snack, these two particular kids are just starving, literally, because they didn't eat something that's going to stay in their gizzard.
Well, and they probably filled up on the oatmeal cream-filled cookie and then didn't eat the actual breakfast that would have held them over. Yeah.
Right.
So I'm going to give you my pet peeves for the breakfast menu. You ready?
I'm ready.
I hate that Pop-Tarts are a breakfast that we can get paid for as a child care provider.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hate that eggs and bacon is a breakfast that we can't.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I understand that we want to cut back on the fat. Okay, I get it. Everything in moderation. And I feel like I want my children to have a breakfast with hash browns and eggs and bacon, especially in the winter when it is cold.
Mm-hmm.
I don't necessarily want them to always have just carbs and bread and toast and pancakes and cereal. I mean, there's only so many things you can give them that are in the credible list that I feel like are lasting. Obviously, cream of wheat, oatmeal, great choices. But when you're talking about having cold cereal all the time, when you're talking about if you're doing pancakes every other day, then you've got a massive amount of sugar involved in the syrup unless you find new and creative ways to make them, which I do, but it requires a lot more work to make a healthy fruit puree to put on top of the waffles than it does just to pour a jar of syrup. And so for time management, a lot of parents and providers tend to just, pour out the log cabin right before they send a child to school. But I feel like there's some items missing in the breakfast menu that should be credible, and there are some items that are credible that never, ever should be allowed as food. I'm sorry, but Pop-Tarts should not be a credible breakfast.
I would agree.
Breakfast cookies, not a credible breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like if you want to occasionally have a protein, like have eggs with hash browns, that should be a credible breakfast.
And see, they're thinking about reintroducing in that, because when I went for our renewal class, they said that was supposed to be coming out in October, which it has not hit the minute menu yet. But they said that was going to be an option to give an egg in place. In other words, a protein.
I will be so happy. I love eggs. My children love eggs. Then it would be great for them to be able to have an egg for breakfast, or for the children who like to have yogurt for breakfast.
Mm-hmm.
Have a yogurt as a protein with some granola on top and some fruit. A healthy alternative. I'd rather give my child yogurt with fresh strawberries and granola on top than a Pop-Tart.
Right.
And yet one we can get paid for and the healthy option we can't.
Mm-hmm.
And so that just makes me crazy. Now, lunch menu. When I went to the center food program training, I almost got myself in a lot of trouble because you know how sometimes somebody will say something that is so completely ridiculous to you that you cuss?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm sitting here, and Robin, who is the food program lady over centers, who came and did my center inspections, is talking about what kind of foods constitute a vegetable. Okay, and of course she's listing off the potatoes, and she's listing off corn and peas and carrots. Did you know, and don't cuss, that Doritos are a vegetable? Doritos are a vegetable.
You know why? Because they're corn chips.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous. Let's run right out and feed our kids Doritos right now.
Yeah,
They're a vegetable. It's
exactly.
acceptable. Are you kidding me?
Uh-huh.
And
Nope.
instantly I opened my mouth and said, what the? Almost completed that sentence. And everybody in the room was looking like, okay. So then we go on to talk about other vegetables. Celery, not a vegetable. You have to combine
Celery's
it.
not a vegetable?
You have to combine it with other vegetables. If you're going to serve celery with lunch, you must serve it with carrots or tomatoes or something else.
Okay.
But celery by itself, not a vegetable.
Oh, interesting.
And cottage cheese is acceptable as a meat substitute during snack,
But you have to double it?
but not during a meal.
You have to double the portion for cottage cheese?
Yes. But why is it a meat substitute at snack time, but it's not a meat substitute at mealtime? Tell me that one.
I don't know why.
I mean, if it's a
Meat
bus,
is
it's a
meat.
bus, right?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a meat substitute, it's a meat substitute. No, it's only a meat substitute during certain times of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I found this out. Yet another time when I went, huh?
Mm-hmm.
So parents oftentimes have the misconception that we can feed the kids whatever they want and that it'll be credible on the food program.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some of the things that I find crazy about the food program, parents often tell me that their children love peanut butter sandwiches. And that's fabulous. Except in order to be credible on the food program, we have to put 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on your child's sandwich.
Okay.
And guess what their serving of bread is? Half a slice. So sit down and put 2 tablespoons of peanut butter on a half a slice of bread, and you tell me if you're not going to choke to death.
Mm-hmm.
And then try feeding it to a little one, a 2-year-old, a 3-year-old.
Right.
Sorry, Charlie. So we do soy butter on bread for snack, but can't serve it as a meal. Number 1, because I try to be nut free. And number 2, because 2 tablespoons of peanut butter that's a disgusting amount of peanut butter for a 2-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
And so that makes me crazy too.
I can see that.
All right. On to portions and on to meals. Now we're at snack. How many food groups do we have to feed for snack?
3. Well, no, we have to feed 2, but we have the choice of 3.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay, so we can add a third one. I'm like, 3? Okay. Have to feed 2 different food groups. So
Yeah.
if your child is in childcare and they're on the food program, every snack has to be 2 food groups.
Yes.
And those 2 food groups cannot be the same food group. So they can't give your child tomatoes and carrots and call it a snack because
Right.
those are both vegetables. Okay? They can't give your child apples and grape juice and call it a snack because those are both fruits.
Right.
So for snack, you have to have 2 different groups, and it does not matter which 2 groups.
Mm-hmm.
So crackers and cheese, that's a bread and a dairy. Or apples and milk, that's a fruit and a dairy. Or salami and bread, that's a meat and a grain. Any 2 food groups, but there has to be 2 food groups. If a child is having juice at daycare, it has to be 100% juice. So if you see your daycare provider pulling out Kool-Aid juice boxes that are not juice or pouring out Kool-Aid or Sunny D, she is not complying with the food program. Your child is not getting what they're supposed to be getting. They either need to have 100% juice or milk. And if she's feeding them 2 different foods, then they can have water,
Right.
which is what I try to do. I try to get the kids to have at least 1 glass of water a day in the winter, 2 in the summer.
Right.
Because kids don't get enough water. Okay. So then we come to lunch and supper. Now for lunch and supper, correct me if I'm wrong, we still have to do 1 from each and every food group, right?
Right.
So 1 grain, 1 fruit, 1 vegetable, 1
Protein.
and 1 dairy.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay. And you can't double dip.
Right.
So if you're making bean soup, the bean soup can either be the vegetable or the meat, but it can't be both.
Right.
So if you're going to use it as the protein, then you have to serve an additional vegetable on the side. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And as far as the dairy goes, the only dairy that works for lunch and supper is milk. Yes?
Right. Yes.
Okay. So here's the serving sizes for lunch and supper. Milk. If your child is 1 to 2, half a cup. That's 4 ounces. If your child is 3 to 5, 3/4 of a cup, 6 ounces. If your child is 6 or over, 1 cup, 8 ounces. Of meat. When you're talking about meat, if your child is 1 to 2 years of age, 1 ounce. Now, that is that 1/4 of a cup that you've been using all through this show to measure things, half of that. That's the amount of protein your child is supposed to have. That is the size of a piece of meat, the size of, what would you say, a domino?
Yeah.
A domino.
Easily, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I've never seen a parent portion out a piece of chicken the size of a domino. I've never seen them do 1/8 of a cup. Hasn't happened yet. That is the appropriate protein portion size. Okay. Then it's 1.5 ounces if your child is 3 to 5. And it is 2 ounces or 1/4 of a cup if your child is 6 to 12. And if you think about it, think about when you go to McDonald's or even a sit-down restaurant and get a kid's meal. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
They have what? 4 chicken nuggets in them for the regular kids meal and like 6 for the Mighty Kids meal?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And those 4 chicken nuggets are double the portion. That's double the portion.
Yep.
Huh. And just a side note, back to you parents of infants, the jars of baby food that you buy in the grocery store, those are not one single serving. Read the back of the jar, ladies and gentlemen. Those jars are not intended to be eaten at one meal. They are intended to be eaten at 2 meals and sometimes 3, depending on the size of the jar. So actually read what you're serving before you shovel it in. Okay. So then we're back to, where are we? If you're having cheese, then it's 1 ounce for a 1 to 2-year-old, 1.5 ounces for a 3 to 5, and 2 ounces for a 6-year-old. Cottage cheese is doubled. So if you're having cottage cheese, it's 2 ounces for a 1 to 2-year-old, 3 ounces for a 3 to 5-year-old, and 4 ounces for a 6-year-old. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. When you're having eggs, oddly enough, what's the portion size for all of them?
1 egg.
1 egg. So it doesn't matter with eggs. It's pretty simple. Whether your kid is 1 or 6, 1 egg. I wonder if that's just because they can't figure out how to divide an egg in half.
Maybe.
I don't know. But 1 egg makes it easy. You don't even have to measure. Okay? Crack it out. Feed it to your kid. All right. Cooked dry beans or peas. 1/4 of a cup of beans for a 1 to 2-year-old, 3/8 of a cup for a 3 to 5-year-old, and 1/2 a cup for a 6-year-old. So that's a pretty small portion. If you're making bean soup, then you've got, if you're accounting for the broth and everything else, it's less than 1/2 a cup serving for a toddler. And there are parents who literally will sit their toddler down with this much and say, clean up your plate.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is craziness.
Yep.
All right. Now, peanut butter, soy nut butter, or nut or seed butters. 1 to 2-year-old, 2 tablespoons. 3 to 5-year-old, 3 tablespoons. 6-year-old, 4 tablespoons on 1 slice of bread.
That's a lot of peanut butter.
Have you even tried to eat 4 tablespoons? That's 1/4 of a cup of peanut butter on 1 sandwich.
That's ridiculous.
I don't even think I could do that.
Mm-mm.
And I definitely wouldn't serve it to my kid.
Exactly.
But that's the guidelines. So if you're going to feed peanut butter, in order to be reimbursed, that's how much peanut butter you have to put on the sandwich. And they'll check when they come out. Your little food program worker will look and see how much peanut butter you gave them. So in order to be credible, if you're going to serve peanut butter as a child care provider, a lot of providers will serve peanut butter on the sandwich, but then they will add an egg on the side, like a boiled egg on the plate, or a piece of cheese, or a thing of cottage cheese, something to add an additional protein to make it credible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Let's see. And then they have nuts, which are done. It's a 1/2 ounce for a 1 to 2-year-old, and I wouldn't give a 1 to 2 year old nuts.
Mm-hmm.
It's 3/4 of an ounce for a 3 to 5 year old, and it's 1 ounce for 6 to 12 year old if you're having nuts. And I don't know why you'd be eating nuts for lunch as a meat,
I don't know why.
unless perhaps a vegetarian.
Maybe.
You know, if you have a child who doesn't eat meat, maybe then perhaps nuts is their alternative during certain meals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yogurt. 1 to 2 year olds have a half a cup. 3 to 5 year olds, 3/4 of a cup. 6 to 12 year olds, a full cup. That's a serving of yogurt. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now, vegetables or fruits, and they have to have 2. Okay. So when you're talking about all those meat and meat alternatives, those you just need 1 of all of those. So whether it's meat, cheese, cottage cheese, peanut butter, soy butter, whatever, you only have to pick 1 and serve the appropriate serving of that. Your milk, you have to do a serving of that. And then your fruits or vegetables, you have to have 2 servings. So you can either have 2 fruits or 2 vegetables or a fruit and a vegetable. And if you're going to do a vegetable that has 2 vegetables in it, you have to double the portion. So if you're serving peas and carrots and you want to count the peas as 1 vegetable and the carrots as another, then instead of a 1/4 of a cup, you have to do a half a cup. Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So fruits and vegetables per serving, it's a 1/4 of a cup for 1 to 2 year olds. It's a half a cup for 3 to 5 year olds. And it's 3/4 of a cup for 6 to 12 year olds. And if you think about it, 3/4 of a cup of fruit and 3/4 of a cup of vegetable, that's like a cup and a half. That's a decent sized portion
Mm-hmm.
of fruits and veggies on the plate. So it's actually more than an adequate amount of food. It's actually a portion that I would eat as an adult. Then you have your grains and breads. Once again, it's a half a slice for 1 to 2 year olds, half a slice for 3 to 5 year olds, and 1 slice for 6 to 12. And once again, you don't ever see parents doling out just 1 slice of bread.
Right.
To a 6 to 12 year old. If they're going to make a sandwich, it's double the bread recommended portion. So every time your child does a sandwich, they're getting double the portion of the grains, which is why it's so important to choose whole grain bread rather than the starch and sugar rich white bread
Mm-hmm.
that pretty much is down to just sugar and carbs.
Yeah.
Yuck. Okay. All right. So those are the recommended portions. Now, I know you're not going to remember all of those. So what you can do is just remember these words. I'm going to pull this up, make sure I'm doing it where I can see it. USDA, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, has recommended portions for children by age on their website. And the CACFP is the Child and Adult Care Food Program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. See, it's coming back to me. And they have a website also that has recommended portions by age. I recommend, as a parent, if you are serious about dietary guidelines and you are serious about helping your child be healthy, and I'm not kidding when I tell you this, it is crucial. If you don't start them out now with a good plan and you don't work with them as they grow, you're putting them at risk for diabetes, for a heart condition, for morbid obesity. You could potentially help them to kill themselves at an early age. And I'm sure you don't want to do that. I recommend you go to the website, you print these guidelines, and you put them on your fridge, on your cabinet, above your stove, wherever it is that when you are serving your child food, you're going to look and see what the appropriate portion is. And try for 1 month, just 1 month, doing the appropriate portioning every single meal. And it probably wouldn't hurt to find out what the adult recommended portions are and do the appropriate portioning for yourself for each meal. You might find that you lose a ton of weight while helping your child become healthy, and then everybody is better off. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree.
I think I'm going to have to go find the adult portion sizes. I don't even think I've even looked for them. Anyway, so it's been great talking with you guys tonight. I love Tuesday nights, love to come and talk about all these topics. And next week, we're going to talk about your child's medical journaling and what records to keep. And we're also going to talk about preventative maintenance for the rest of your child's life, what things you need to keep track of to make it easier for them as they grow up to get things done. Cheryl, it's been fun. Are you going to hang around for the next show and talk with us a little more, or are you done?
I'm done.
Oh, tired for the night. All right. Well, we'll talk to you next week.
Okay.
And it's been great, you guys. And I'll see you in just a few minutes for Licensed to Parent the School Age Years. Good night.
From the RE/MAX Real Estate Concept Studios, this is Webcast 1.